I know you're ambitious because you listen to this show. So let's talk about actionable strategies to unapologetically own and grow that ambition in a society that wants to keep you playing small. Today, we're bringing back one of my good friends and one of our most popular guests, Danielle Robay.
Confidence is what you think of yourself, but worth is what you think you deserve.
Danielle is a journalist and content creator known for her open-hearted interviews. And in fact, I don't know anybody who conducts a better interview than Robay.
I think living a life of curiosity in general opens up your life.
Dubbed the Queen of Questions, she created the best-selling card game and podcast Question Everything, as well as Hello Sunshine's The Bright Side podcast. She has interviewed everyone from Taylor Swift to Michael B. Jordan and everyone in between.
And so now I more so can go into a high-pressure situation and think of something on my feet, but I couldn't do that 4 years ago.
This episode is a must-listen if you feel like your ambition is looked down upon by your friends, by your family, by your peers. Basically, if you're a woman living in a man's world, which we all are, you're going to want to listen to this.
It's going to sound really corny, but I would say like 90% of accomplishing anything is believing that you can.
We talk about owning your ambition, asking better questions, the impact of the media on women's mental and physical health, authenticity, and so much more.
I remember thinking, this is not what I want to be thinking about all day. Like, I don't want to be thinking about if I look good in a bikini or not.
We also have the most hysterical moment that has ever happened on Financial Feminist. I don't want to spoil it for you. It's at the end of the interview, but it had the entire room in tears. Danielle and I could not continue the interview. The producer and editor in the room was just dying laughing. It is one that you're going to want to hear. You're going to also want to share this episode with a friend who really needs that pep talk. So let's get into it. Hi, Danielle.
Hi, Tori.
I'm so excited to see you.
My sister.
We've had you on the show before, but it's been a while.
I know.
What's going on in your life? What do you do? Why is it important?
I love that you cut to the chase. I really love that about you. Well, last time I was on, I think I was in a very different place in my life. I was just starting my podcast, and you were already really established in podcasting. And so now everything is really different. I rebranded my podcast from Pretty Smart to Question Everything.
Yeah.
The card game that I had launched did really well. And so we're doing several iterations of it. We're coming out this year with a dating pack, a girls' night in pack.
Fun.
I'm doing a collab card game with Gloria Steinem, which is pretty amazing. And Keely Catwells of Making Space.
Danielle.
So it's the peak of my life, but the card games are really doing well.
Did that come from you sitting on her couch?
Yeah, it was part of it. Keely, who is amazing. Everybody should check her out. She's the CEO and founder of Making Space.
Okay.
And I think she's if not one of the most prominent disability rights activists in the country.
Cool.
So she's really taught me a lot because I actually didn't know a lot about the disabled community. And she is Gloria Steinem's mentee. And so we were on her couch in her living room having conversation about the state of the world.
Yeah.
And I whipped the card game out at the end. And I have to say it was the most fun part of the whole evening because like we got to ask Gloria about her love life. It was like sleepover vibes.
Yeah.
It changed everything. And so Keely and I were talking after and we were like, that was so fun. Like, let's ask Gloria if she wants to do something. And it's kind of, I haven't told anybody, but
no, that's so exciting.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so the first time we had you on the show, it was a great title. We'll link it of like how to be the most important person or most interesting person in the room.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things you're already talking about and is become your brand is the importance of asking really good questions.
Yeah.
I think especially in a world and in an environment where we're just moving from thing to thing, it feels very lonely and it's difficult to like actually form relationships with people.
Yeah.
How can questions get us to the vulnerable, beautiful kind of friendships and relationships we want to be in?
I love this question so much. Thank you for asking it. First of all, I think living a life of curiosity in general opens up your life. On the back of the card game, I have this quote that I live by that charmed are the curious, for they shall have adventure. And adventure can mean anything you want in life. But I think like the little bits of randomness that create that synchronicity in your life or those beautiful opportunities where you meet somebody who you spend the rest of your life with at a bar, or out of the blue, or through a friend of a friend. That happened to you, right?
Yeah.
Or, you meet someone in the park and it ends up turning into a book deal. Like, those moments usually happen, if you trace it all back, because of curiosity.
Yeah.
And so I do think curiosity is a skill. It's like, it's more of a muscle than it is even a mindset. The more curious you are, the more curious you become, and it like kind of pervades your entire life, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But in terms of questions, if I can kind of go back a little and give you context, I was really depressed in 2018, 17. And I was unemployed and just not a happy camper.
Yeah.
And I had breakfast one day, an LA miracle happened. I had breakfast with Larry King. And he ended up really teaching me how to ask better questions.
How did you get that? Was that you sat down next to him? Was that through the media world? Like, how did that happen?
I think it's one of those, I'll tell you the exact story, but I think it was a seed of curiosity, to be honest, because I was working at a place that I thought was my dream job. And I would go into the bathroom and cry every day at lunch, and I hated it. And that's hard for two reasons. One, you're kind of reckoning with the fact that everything you ever sacrificed for and wanted is not actually something you want. So what do you really want?
Right. What is your identity if you don't want this?
Right. And I'm an ambitious girl. So like my identity was really wrapped up in that. And then secondly, you're thinking, like, I'm miserable working 16 hours a day. I don't even have the bandwidth to think about what I want. And it's really tough. And I actually, I ended up calling in sick for a week because I was like, I'm so tired. I can't even think about what I want. Anyways, I was dating somebody and he was like, wow, you're really not well. And I was like, well, I had quit my job and I decided I was going to use that time to take myself to grad school. So I started watching hours of Larry King, of Robin Roberts, of Bob Costas, of Barbara Walters, all the people that I thought were the best journalists in the world, and taking notes. How did they move their hands? How did they transition from question to question? And then I would write down a list of like 1,001 questions. Because I was like, everybody thinks that they want to meet Michael Jackson or at the time, or Oprah or Michael Jordan.
Right.
But if you meet them, what are you actually going to say?
I think it is terrifying. Like when you're trying to meet somebody that you've respected and loved your whole life, it is like, what do you say knowing you might only have 5 seconds?
Absolutely. And I think you're getting to the heart of something that I've learned about asking questions, which is the more practiced you are, the easier it becomes. And so now I more so can go into a high pressure situation and think of something on my feet.
Yeah.
But I couldn't do that 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And so I was writing this list, and there's no shame in that. Like there's even moments, of course, now where I still don't know what to say. That's human. But like, I think writing this list was part of that practice for me. And the guy I was dating was like, I have a surprise for you. Meet me at Nate and Al's at 7 a.m., which is a deli in Beverly Hills. It's like a famous deli.
At 7 in the morning.
At 7 in the morning. And he goes, and I know you, so be hair and makeup ready. So I wake up at 5 a.m.
What a smart man to do that.
I don't know how smart he was ultimately, but we're grateful for this moment that he gave us.
A little, yeah.
Yes. So, no, he was smart. So yeah, ultimately I have breakfast with Larry King, and I didn't get one question in, even though I had a bunch of questions, because he was so insatiably curious. Still to this day, the most curious person I'd ever met. Almost like, in a way that I'm not. Like, he wants the nuance and the details and the minutia. Like, why do you like blueberries? It's like, I don't know. I don't really care. But he cared. So at the end of breakfast, I said, Larry, I didn't get to ask you any questions. Can I come back? And he was like, don't you have a job, kid? I was like, actually, no. So he said, you're welcome anytime. And so I would have breakfast with Larry and his childhood friends. And it was like—
I didn't know this about you. This is insane.
Really? It was one of the biggest gifts of my life, because he really taught me how to ask questions properly. And he would always say, you need your own show. And I was like, they're not really handing out shows like they did back in the day, Larry. But ultimately, Question Everything, which is my podcast, like that voice was in the back of my head. And so in 2021, when I started, it was like, you need your own show. Okay, like how do I do this in 2021?
Yeah.
But to get to your original question, which was so beautiful, how do we ask better questions is we start asking bad ones. Like, it is just practice.
Yeah.
And there's this woman, Celeste Headley, who's a beautiful interviewer and conversationalist. And I got to interview her, and she gave me a great piece of advice that I think is worth sharing. She said, if it feels intimidating, start with waiters or baristas because they are paid to interact with you.
Absolutely.
And so it's like low stress, and you can just start asking them questions, and it's truly a practice.
It's one of the things that I can point to that is probably the easiest thing I've ever done to change my life. And it is just when I'm in any sort of interaction.
Wow.
I hope I did it with our lovely producer sitting here today. But I always ask, like, how's your day going? And it's like, it's not a good question, but the amount of, especially like people getting your coffee, people at a restaurant, people who are showing you to your table, the amount of people, unfortunately, that have looked at me like, oh, my day's okay. And they're like shocked.
Yes.
And they're like, thanks for asking. And it's just like, one, I've had this like micro moment of connection with somebody I will probably never see again.
Yeah.
Two, it's like, I am practicing that engagement so that if I am in a room with someone who I am like, oh my God, I want to make this moment count. To your point, it feels more like a muscle. And it's also just like a nice thing to do to somebody that like makes my day better. Hopefully that makes their day better.
Well, I think people they feel so much pressure to be interesting in a meeting or at dinner. Sure. And really the most interesting thing is to be interested. Like, it's much easier to just ask a great question or even a mediocre question. Just ask, you know? But I'm curious what you said, like that changed your life. What prompted you thinking about asking questions? Because a lot of people never think about it.
I think it was, one, I'm just kind of that person. And I would have these impulses, especially around compliments. And like, if you talk to my partner, he kind of makes fun of me about it. But like, if I walk into a room full of strangers, most likely, and it's not even contrived, I'm not like trying, but if I see, I don't know, a woman looks beautiful. This happened on my flight here. There was this woman, she was probably about 55 years old, like aging beautifully, just like had all the wrinkles and was just like so beautiful. And I was on the train to get to my gate and I took out my AirPods. And again, I had this moment where my brain went, don't do that to her. It's like, no, you don't know her. You can just like, that's weird. She's going to look at you weird. Everybody else around you might hear. And I just did it anyway. And I was just like, hey, I'm sorry. I think you're just so beautiful. And I almost said like pretty, or I almost lessened it because I was afraid that she was going to think I was insane or hitting on her or something. She's there with her husband. And she was just like, oh, that's so nice. And I was like, no problem. Put my AirPods back in so she knows I'm not threatening. And like, but I have to still force myself to do it, but it's hopefully a moment that feels really good. And that sort of practice in a like non-stressful situation helps me show up in the stressful situations better, but also helps me pursue all of the things I want to pursue when I have to go out and pitch myself and I have to be vulnerable.
Well, I also think that you're so full, like you're full of yourself in the most beautiful way that you have so much to share.
But
you
okay,
know?
So everybody listening, I can hear them going, okay, but that sounds great. But like, how do I actually like get started doing that when all of the voices in my head tell me, oh, that question's not going to be good enough, or that person doesn't want to talk to you. Like, how do I do that?
Okay, two things. One, you mentioned vulnerability.
Yeah.
And have you ever listened to the John Gottman's work?
Yeah.
Okay, so they're two therapists who are married. They're brilliant. And they talk about bids for connection all the time. So for instance, if your partner says, oh, look at this bird out the window, whether you're interested or not, you're supposed to accept that bid and look, even if you're like in your phone or wanting to do something else. Because if you deny the bid, they feel hurt. It's a vulnerability. Questions are the same thing. People don't notice it, but it is a bid for connection. It is an invitation. And that's why it feels vulnerable, because somebody can turn down your invitation. And so I think the first thing is recognizing it, that it's actually something that is a vulnerability. And so it takes courage. And I think in recognizing that is really important. But secondly, pointing out something you notice is actually, if you don't want to ask a question and you don't know how to engage in conversation, a compliment is actually a really great way to strike up conversation and just say, I love those shoes. And if you want to take it one step further, I think shoes are really a fun way to strike up conversation. You can say, like, are yours, because you're wearing Air Jordans, right? And it's like, are you a Nike girl or do you only wear Jordans? If someone's wearing New Balance, it's like, are you a runner? Like asking a question based on something you notice can strike up a whole, and they could say, no, I'm not a runner.
Knowing you two, you do this all the time.
Yeah.
And you probably don't even do it intentionally anymore because it's just so natural. But even you saying that didn't feel contrived because I was like, I've seen Danielle do that shit. Like,
you have?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, see, I don't even recognize it.
Yeah.
But even what you're wearing today is telling me a story. Like, I think what people are wearing is a form of communication. They're trying to tell you something about themselves.
Yeah.
With your suit right now, you're telling me you're irreverent, you're funny, you're comical, and you're also stylish. You know?
Thank you, Danielle.
Is there anything else you wanted to communicate?
Well, it's by an incredible company called Wild Fang that I wear almost exclusively, and they do like non-binary clothing or like non-gendered clothing.
And you're
like, I've been wearing
value-driven.
them for years. Yeah. And I love the question too about the shoes because I think the natural thing for women is it's like, oh, I love those shoes. Where'd you get them?
Yes.
And it's like, I got these at the Nike store. That's an interesting answer to that question.
Yes.
But I love the like, again, what does this say about you?
Yes, absolutely. Like if you don't want to do shoes, you can say, you know, I love your glasses. Did you get them here? Were they from your travels?
Yeah.
You could just
Or like,
improv.
how old were you when you started wearing glasses?
Yes.
Yeah. Because I have stories to tell because I was 7 and I was getting glasses every 6 months because I couldn't see.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I've been wearing glasses forever. No, I love this.
Yeah. It's just an easy way. Because like I do think sometimes it's hard. You don't want to come out with a deep question. It's weird.
Right.
Right? Like
very
you're on the
off-putting.
train. You don't want to say like, you're so beautiful. Why did you decide to not do Botox? You know, why did you decide to age graceful or like naturally?
And that
Which is kind of the question in your mind.
Went through my mind. At first I was like, I was going to compliment her wrinkles, but then like the amount of time somebody's complimented me or think it's a compliment and then I'm going, wait, I have wrinkles or wait, I have like, it's visible to people.
Yes.
So I just went with, you're so beautiful.
I think like the appearance compliments sometimes yours was generic enough that it was nice, but I think specificity is tough because it makes women actually think about their appearance more.
Right.
There's research behind that.
Yeah.
So like clothing is a really good way.
Yeah. And I think there's been a huge focus, especially for like young girls, about complimenting their energy or, you know, not saying, oh, you look so pretty in your little dress, but like, you look so confident or you seem so strong. Or I love that you have opinions. Like that's...
Yeah, you're radiating good energy.
Right.
I will say if you meet somebody in a business setting or at a dinner party, one thing that I like if I feel like at a loss, because you really don't know anything about anybody, is someone will like introduce yourself to me.
Hi, I'm Tori.
Tori, it's so nice to meet you. I really, really like your name. Is there a story behind it? And it's a
and
great...
there is.
Of course, there's always a story.
Yeah.
Why'd your parents name you Tori?
I actually named myself Danielle.
No, you didn't.
No, I literally did. You ready for this story?
This is so you.
This is politely fuck off, Danielle. No, okay, so my parents had 2 names for me. This is a podcast exclusive.
Of course you named yourself.
Podcast exclusive. My parents had 2 names for me. It was Victoria, Tori, and it was Cassandra, Cassie.
Okay.
The 2 names. My mom had a very arduous labor, like multi-day. I'm so sorry, Mom.
Yes.
And they got to the end and like they couldn't leave the hospital without the birth certificate.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently my dad is sitting there rocking me and they're trying to figure out a name. And so he looks at me, he's like, Victoria, Tori. And apparently I just look out up at him, you know, big wide eyes. And he goes, Cassandra, Cassie. And I throw up all over him. And apparently he just goes up and looks at my mom and he's like, well, she named herself.
She really did.
So I named myself.
This set the stage for your entire life.
There you go.
And also, this is a fabulous story.
Oh, I think about it all the
you,
time. If my name was Cassie, who does she like? What is she doing?
No.
What's she up to?
You are Victoria.
I know, but even that, right? It's like I'm not a Victoria, I'm a Tori.
You are.
Right. So there you go. Great question.
But see, and like usually people have funny, sometimes they have like, oh, my grandmother was named, and you start really like, that's when you connect deeply. So that's a good one for dinner parties.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to take us to something that's kind of related.
Okay.
Like neither of us feel like ambition is a dirty word.
Yeah.
But I think there's so many women who are afraid of taking up space, whether it's connecting with people and going, again, they don't want to talk to me, I'm a waste of their time, or if it's feeling like somebody around them's going to judge them for going for that business, for starting that thing, for wanting money. How do they get over that?
Well, I'd like to say, first of all, I've been there. Actually, a few years ago, like 2 years ago, a friend of mine called me and we were talking about dating. And he said to me, I've always felt like a confident person.
Yeah.
Like I always walk into a room feeling confident. I want the best for other people. I never thought I had an issue. And he said to me, you know, Danielle, you deserve good things. And I felt kind of emotional when he said it. And then he said, confidence is what you think of yourself, but worth is what you think you deserve. And you deserve good things.
I'm sorry. One more time.
Confidence is what you think of yourself, but worth is what you think you deserve. I had tears streaming down my face. He hit me because I realized I didn't have a confidence problem. I thought highly of myself.
Yeah.
But I had a worth issue. I had a worth in what I was willing to negotiate at work. I had a worth issue in relationship. And so for that year, I made my word of the year, which I do every year, worth. And I worked on it. So I do think your question starts with working on your worth.
Yeah.
And that is different for everybody based on their own childhood trauma and what works for them. But I have sort of reframed things, and Adam Grant talks about this a lot. You can either put things out into the world and think, oh, I'm nervous what they're going to say, or if there's weird feedback.
Yeah.
Or you can put things out and think of it as self-promotion, or you can put things out into the world and really have a message and have something to share and feel as if you are making somebody's life better.
Yeah.
And if you frame it that way, you're actually doing a service. Like, I feel like I'm an evangelist for curiosity.
Yeah.
I am trying to spread the word far and wide because it has made my life so much better. I'm not going on podcasts talking to you about questions because I want my face on camera.
Right.
I'm really doing it because I've tapped into something and I want you to have it.
Yeah.
And so I think if you come at it from a service perspective, it changes the game. George Clooney talks about how when he was going on auditions, he would always think, oh, why would they ever choose me? And he had this mindset, like there's a million people that look like me in this room.
Which, okay, fuck off George Clooney. They don't, but okay. George Clooney, have you looked in a mirror in the past 50 years?
Also swaggy daddy, the most. Anyways, he talks about how he reframed it and thought, I'm a person who is competent, who shows up on time. I'm actually doing them a service by being really good at my job and showing up. And he was like, and that's when I started booking jobs. So I do think that reframe is really, really important.
Yeah.
Have you ever had trouble with your ambition, or you've always, yeah?
No.
I know.
I'm going to write a book about it, but we'll talk about that later.
I
think it is exactly what you were talking about. Is I do think you either struggle with one, the other, or maybe both.
Yeah.
When you're thinking of your own opportunities and how you show up, there is something to be said about I believe this for myself, but does everybody else believe it?
Right.
And so you will walk into rooms where other people don't believe it. You will be in relationships where other people don't believe it. And what I have realized is it's not confidence and self-worth, and building that muscle is not avoiding those situations, because unfortunately sometimes you can't. It shocks a lot of people to learn that I dated bad, I was in bad situations.
Yeah.
Not horrible, but not great situations. And I stayed.
Yeah.
And 30-year-old me would not stay, but 20-year-old me did.
Yeah.
And I think you start realizing, unfortunately, by going through it, what you will no longer accept.
Yes.
And so I think it is looking back on those experiences, not with shame, or not why didn't I go? Or why did I let somebody speak to me like that? Or why did I let a boss walk all over me? Why did I let him undercut me in salary? And it's more just okay, it's the Maya Angelou. I know better. I do better now.
Yes. Do you ever keep a list
of the people who have wronged me?
No.
Because definitely.
I don't mean a shit list.
Is Ryan Howard putting me on the list?
No, I have. Okay, and I don't. Can you bleep out if I curse?
Yeah, if you would like.
Just for social media, because it's going to sound sexual and I don't mean it to be.
Oh, okay.
I have a list per my dad's recommendation.
Oh, this is going to be really interesting where this is going.
Titled Ways I've Been Fucked. Okay.
Yeah.
And it sounds weird, but he told me long time ago, and he's so right, that every contract that I sign, I am going to make mistakes and there are going to be ways that I got fucked. And once you get to the next contract, you are going to forget some of the ways that you have been effed over.
Yeah.
And so it is really important to keep, I have a Google Doc.
I love this, Danielle.
So that the next time I go into contract, I can look at the document and think, do I need to add any of these things? Little things like, as a TV host, there's something called a lower third. And it's like where your name pops up. How do you want your name to be shown? If your name can be shown, do you want your Instagram handle? Sometimes I've been in, that was a contract where I forgot to negotiate that, which seems like you don't have to, but I forgot. And they wouldn't put my name on screen. And it's like, that's a huge thing, but I forgot. So I keep a list.
And even for relationships or for...
Oh, that's a good idea. I should probably start that one.
Both sex positions and ways I got fucked. No, but it's like, probably for that would be so helpful. Basically, like, what are my non-negotiables next time? I just did this with our attorneys. So we just had our team retreat and it was like, what are our non-negotiables in contracts? And it's, I think, probably the same thing for, you know, any sort of job as well. Like, beyond just a contract, it's like, okay, how will I be treated? If my boss does this, is that a beige flag? Is that a red flag? Is that, you know, break in case of emergency, we need to get out?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to read your book.
We'll talk. So, speaking of ambition, you worked as a journalist.
I did.
Now you're hosting things all the time, including your own show. But you've talked about how there was a cost to that ambition. Can you tell me more about that?
Well, I think last time I was on the pod, we talked about the actual financial cost.
Absolutely.
Which was vast and still is, because like I'm still constantly paying for hair and makeup and clothing and all the things.
And all the compound interest you lost as well, but don't even get me started about that.
That part makes me sad. Because I think about like all of the compound interest. Yeah. But it really is a cost to my job. People expect you to show up a certain way. But I actually recently have been thinking about the like spiritual, personal cost of ambition. I asked Bozoma St. John on my podcast about it because she's a highly ambitious person. And I really liked her answer. She said, it will cost you friends, it will cost you money, but also like, I think it cost me so far things that I didn't know I was negotiating. So like, I have spent so much time focused on my career that I have not focused on my personal life. I focused on my personal growth.
Yeah.
But like at one point years ago, I didn't have a lot of friends because I didn't have time to have friends.
Yeah.
And I fixed that because that was important to me. But like now I don't have a man. That is now important to me too, to go try and find one. But it just wasn't high on my list. I do think there's like a lot of negotiations you don't realize you're making when you're younger.
Yeah. Do you think there's seasons of your life?
I do.
Because I think that too.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad that there were many years where dating was not my highest priority.
Do you really feel that way in hindsight?
Yes, absolutely.
Do you think that's because you're partnered?
No. I'd be giving you the same, truly, I'd be giving you the same answer if I wasn't.
I think once I'm partnered, I'm going to have to like see how I feel.
Because I obviously love my partner.
Yeah.
This is work.
Yeah.
It's work.
Yeah.
And there's so many parts about being single that are way easier.
I agree with that.
And I don't think the company now would be as successful as it was if I had not built it either with relationships that didn't last or during periods where I was either just dating or completely single. Like,
I'm working with a life coach who's telling me that I have to stop thinking in binary terms, that I have to think I could be with somebody.
I thought Danielle Robay would live in the gray.
I do live in the gray, but I had this thing in my mind that was like...
It rhymes, Robay in the gray.
I love that you know that about me. I feel seen by you right now.
Well, again, the questions, it's like, okay, curiosity, I think is the perfect example of like, if it's true curiosity, it's not going to come with judgment.
Right.
As someone who grew up in an extremely judgmental house, like I still struggle with like getting rid of the judgment.
Yeah. Do you think about like because sometimes judgment is my first thought, but my second thought is the one.
Often. Yeah, but that's the
therapy.
That's the 18 years at Catholic school with pretty regimented parents talking first. And then it's like, no, that wasn't the higher self version of that thought. So let's try that again.
I'm really curious if you feel like there's been a cost because
to ambition?
Yeah.
Also, I realized I didn't let you finish about black and white binary because I would love to take that where it's going.
Well, who cares? Go ahead.
You're the guest, dude.
No, but
what was your question for me? What was it?
My question was...
Is there a cost to ambition?
Yeah, for you.
Oh,
what was your... Because I think the cost is different for everybody.
Well, I mean, we can go high level of the cost of being an ambitious woman.
Yeah.
I probably... Yeah, let's call it every other day. Maybe every day for being really generous. I have the constant feeling of if I were a man, this would be way easier. And I think we all feel that way in any aspect of our lives. But specifically, like running the kind of business I do, I'm like, oh, if a man had done the things we've been able to do, the business would be even bigger than it is.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I never think about that.
I think about that too much, unfortunately. Because I just watch so many fucking inept men get everything. I just, like, the amount of inept men is just insane to me.
Yeah.
Like, I'll toot my own horn. Like, I think I'm better spoken than most men. I think, like, we're smarter. Like, we run a better business. But it doesn't matter.
That's really
interesting. And again, I'm a white woman. Like, we know this is worse for women of color or for trans women. It's just like...
But do you think if you get stuck in that mindset, like you start, it makes you crazy, right?
Well, yeah, because you only can control the things you can control. I single-handedly can't change sexism, but we're going to fucking try.
Well, you helped change my relationship with money.
That's nice.
Your book.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. And so I do think that you are changing the strata.
I'm trying to think if really cost of ambition. Yeah. It's also like, I don't know, it sounds so like, but I don't know any other way.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, you have to follow your heart. You know, I'm just thinking, I froze my eggs. That cost me something.
Oh.
That was a cost.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
We haven't really talked about that on the show yet. We've been meaning to do an episode. Yeah. How was that for you?
You should do an episode on it. It's really interesting.
You want to come back on?
Yeah. I mean, we can talk about it, but also like a doctor would be interesting with a patient because I feel like they tell you two different things. Both have important information.
Okay.
But for instance, no one really tells you that only 3% of women who freeze their eggs actually go back to use their eggs, which is incredibly low.
What?
Yes. And there's no information on the success of that 3%. So there's different reasons for it, right? Like it's like maybe
they decide they don't want to have kids. They have kids naturally. They adopt.
Yes.
They maybe die before. That's insane, though. 3%.
Yeah. I know.
And it's a lot of money.
Yeah. It's like it really is an insurance policy. The way that people talk about like apartment, car, all that health insurance.
Just get your eggs frozen.
Yeah.
Oh man, 3% feels low.
I know. It's wild. It was an interesting experience. I'm glad I did it, but. Man, oh man.
Crazy.
Yeah, hormones are tough.
Yeah.
It's not easy on the
Hormones
body.
are tough when I'm not shooting myself up with more hormones.
Exactly.
I'm about to start my period and I feel insane. I'm like, burn my entire life to the ground? Sounds great.
Totally.
Sounds perfect.
Sounds like a Friday.
Something I wanted to talk about is with the media background you have.
Yeah.
What are the ways you feel like media influences how women see the pursuit of wealth?
Oh, almost in every way. Doesn't media influence how we all see wealth?
Or see most things, I think.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've always been a big believer in like you are what you eat. So you think about what you consume.
Yeah.
I remember when I unfollowed a ton of people in media as I got older because I wanted my intellectual diet to be different.
Can we talk about that for a second? Because I've been wanting to talk about that on the show.
Please.
What we're talking about, confidence and ambition and like getting more money and pursuing the things you want unabashedly.
Yeah.
Like we're not talking about the physical diet. It's like, what information are you feeding yourself? Who are you listening to? How much content are you getting into your brain that makes you actually feel good about yourself?
Even as small as what images are you looking at day to day? I remember I followed so many of these, like the early Instagram days, like Jessica Burciaga, like these gorgeous Instagram girls. I don't know why, but early on, we all were kind of following them. And I remember thinking, this is not what I want to be thinking about all day. Like, I don't want to be thinking about if I look good in a bikini or not. I want to be thinking, like, that's when I started following Adam Grant and following thought leaders who were like really making me ask myself questions, think differently. I think a media diet is really, really undervalued. It's so important.
Absolutely. So yeah, when we're thinking about wealth, like, what are the stories that you think the media has told?
Oh, I mean, the girl boss era was a tough one, right? Like, really I remember the stories and even I think about images too that we were shown of like women on magazines during that era. They were all wearing power suits. And not that I don't love a power suit. I love a power suit.
I'm wearing a power suit.
But that's your brand.
It is. And I also like them because I dress very masculine. I don't wear a lot of dresses.
That's what you're comfortable in.
Yeah.
But I think, and I actually think Sheryl Sandberg's Lean In got a lot of flack that it didn't deserve. Some of it.
You and I should talk about that.
Some of it I understand.
Yeah.
But
some of it was good. Some of it needed work, but.
Fair.
Yeah.
But there was the chapter about women's clothing at work was so good, I thought. And she said, like, women were basically told to dress like men. Like, you had to wear a suit. And I think that imagery was harmful.
Yeah.
But I remember, like, Susie Orman was the first woman I saw talking about money on TV.
Speaking of, suits. Yeah.
Do you remember?
That was actually my first question for you was, like, my next question was, like, do you remember the first time, like, you saw money portrayed in media?
Honestly, that I can remember, it was Susie Orman, and then it was the excess of the Kardashians. Yeah.
Yep.
That too.
So, like, what did that tell you about people with money? I'm getting really, like, therapist on you.
Well, I think I had multiple messages because I grew up around people who had wealth.
Yeah.
And so I had messages, I think, growing up, and I grew up around a mix of people. But I did see that, and so I saw that not everybody was, even if you had money, you weren't like living in excess in that way. But I do think that culturally, that show and other reality shows at the time, it wasn't just them, like definitely ushered an era of excess and overconsumption in.
Yeah.
Which I think we're seeing a backlash to now. Now it's all about quiet luxury.
I think we are, and at the same time we aren't. Like,
tell me more.
Well, I think we're all really voyeuristic about money. Mm-hmm. Even me, who has, enough now. It's like I'm always interested in, like, oh, what are really rich people like buying, or what do their houses look like? Like, Architectural Digest is like porn for me. I'm just like, show it all to me. What couch did you buy?
Yeah.
And so I do feel like we act like we hate it. But like $1 million or Below Deck and like $1 million Listing, and like these shows exist for a reason.
Yes, well said. We are all voyeuristic.
Yeah.
But I also think there's an element of wealth, like ultra wealth, that we don't see.
The like billionaire yacht succession wealth. Yeah.
Yeah. And also like I've heard about these medical like experiences. Like this is like going to be really trendy to go for a week and go to like a very bougie medical center where everything is tested.
People are flying to like Turkey to do that right now because it's cheaper.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think
it's the biohacking. It's all the dudes who are like, I'm going to live to 140. And I'm like, okay. By never eating a burger and like having no pleasure in your life? No, thank you.
Well, also, do you talk about the financial element of that? Like, how are you going to support yourself to 140?
I didn't even think about that. More just like the cost of trying to like, I don't know, re-harvest your blood every 12 hours or whatever crazy shit they're doing now.
Totally.
I think that when I think about a lot of the messages that women are fed in the media, it is always like, if women have money, it's so that they can go shop more.
Yeah, for sure. And it's also very paradoxical information.
Yes.
Like, on one hand, it is like for instance, with biohacking, I think if for women, it's not called biohacking. It's like, oh, you're obsessed with aging.
Right.
And not aging. But really, it's the same thing.
Everything's a double standard. It's like men want to live and they're like, oh, because they want to experience more of life and they want to like CEO harder. And they're like, yay. Versus women, it's like, why do you not want to turn? Like, what is your obsession with looking young? And I'm like, well, because the entire society is built upon me looking as young as possible.
Yes. Yeah. I think, it's very paradoxical information. And also we think about like wealth in terms of Birkin bags. And that's like actually not how most women are thinking.
Yeah, I would hope not. I know they're not. The other thing that always blows my mind. Have you watched Discovery Channel recently? Do you know the shows on Discovery Channel?
I don't know. Do I?
Deadliest Catch.
Oh, yes. Seen that.
Okay. Thank you. Oh gosh. What else? The Pawn Stars.
Oh, I like that one.
Yeah. And then the History Channel. What is, my dad's favorite show? The American Pickers.
I don't know that one.
Oh, you don't know the American Pickers? Okay. So these two guys, they go out and they drive to these random houses that are clearly planned before in the middle of Kansas. And it's hoarders. All of these guys are hoarders, and they have like old cars, and they have like all this antique stuff in like 3 garages on their farm. So the American Pickers come through, and they're like, "Oh, there's that oil sign from 1950. I know exactly what that is. Will you take $200 for it?" And they're like, "No, I'd never sell it." And then they like buy stuff from them, and then they go back to the oil sign always at the end, and they're like, $250, and the guy's like, "Yeah, sure." Like. And the amount of times that I have been like at the gym, or like I come home for Christmas or whatever, my dad's watching these shows, and the transactional relationship, the negotiation that happens is like so organic. We know exactly how much they're getting paid, again, presumably. And like these other like fishing shows where they're like, "Oh, I caught this huge fish and it would cost like this amount per pound, so I made $60,000 off of this catch," or whatever. And it's like, we don't talk about that as women. We don't celebrate it. There's not TV shows. Is there?
No. And I just had an experience yesterday where I thought about this. I was at a lunch with 2 acquaintances, and one of them was saying, she was talking about her job and sharing that it was paying well. And the other one said, "I'm really curious, like, what's the salary?"
I love it.
And she was like, "It's good." And in my mind, I was like, just share the salary.
Well,
but I get
we're
also
worried
not
about judgment,
sharing.
Right? This is back to the original thing of like, what if I have the audacity to take up space? Is she going to be like? Do you
think some of it's like evil eye? Like it's like, don't want my life.
Oh, I don't interpret it as that at all.
I don't know.
It's interesting. I think just we're so scared to talk about money. We're so scared that somebody else is going to judge us.
Yeah.
Like even I'm scared of this. Like the more money I make, I'm like, oh, if I buy them a wedding gift, are they going to go, well, she has more money than that. She should be buying me a better gift. Like that's something I'm stressed about. So it's like, okay, if I'm at lunch with somebody and now I know that they make $300,000 a year, do I now expect them to put down their credit card? And
right. Are they supposed to pay for that's very interesting.
Right.
Yeah, it's confusing. I actually see the arguments for both sides.
But again, men are allowed to pursue wealth. They have full TV shows about making money. They're celebrated for being good negotiators. And for women, it's either like, do not talk about it.
Yeah.
Or there's no reflections in media in the same way. Like there's no Pawn Stars for women.
Why do you think that is?
Maybe Selling Sunset, but then it's like it furthers the trope of like women all hate each other and they're like catty and like.
Yeah, and have to look a very specific way.
Yeah. You have to be typically white and skinny and blonde.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think, I'm like, how long do we have to do a media dissertation here? But like, I think men are allowed to pursue money, women aren't.
It's really interesting. Yeah, I guess that's why you get backlash on TikTok.
Yes, Danielle, that is why.
You know.
No, because
every day I'm like looking through my phone and Tori comes up on TikTok saying like, Dave Ramsey.
Danielle got my contact. She's like, I got you. This is it. Okay. You have interviewed so many successful people.
Yes.
What do successful people know that we don't?
Well, I would consider you successful.
Okay. It's very nice, Danielle. Okay, I'm talking for the general public listening.
Do you consider yourself successful?
Oh, God. See what she does? Is she's like, you know what? I'm a guest on your show, but I'm going to flip it around on you. Yes.
Okay. I know that's hard to say sometimes.
No, but I think I do have a lot of business success. Oh, this is so cheesy. It's gonna blah, blah, blah. But it's like, my tombstone should not say CEO/founder of her first 100K. Like, hopefully, or my obituary or whatever. It's like, hopefully it is about the women we've impacted, but it's also like, she was a loving partner. She was a kind daughter. Mm. She showed up for her friends.
Yeah.
Like, that is what I'd rather have. Now,
your eulogy versus resume virtues.
Totally. Am I proud of the things we've accomplished as a company and that I've accomplished personally? Absolutely. But we've been on the same journey, you and I, of like, how do I find success in things that have nothing to do with work?
Yeah.
Like, how do I find my identity in things that have nothing to do with my output?
Yeah. I don't have that answer, but I do have the successful people answer.
Okay, but can I tell you one thing?
Yeah.
And I may have told you this before.
Tell
my
me.
mentor told me this, that I am a human being, not a human doing.
Yeah.
Have you heard that one? Oh,
yeah.
That's good.
It's a really good one. I think that was a Tony Robbins special.
Oh, gross.
I
now
like
I feel
him.
bad. Oh, we'll talk about that off mic too.
Okay.
No, I just, that one was really helpful for me. I'm
Yeah.
just like, you know what? Also, the first 2 pages of The Notebook. Have you read The Notebook, the book?
No.
Okay, have you seen the movie?
Yes.
Okay, I think it is in the monologue in the movie. I bring this up. Somebody needs to tally up how many times I bring this up on the show. But it was like, it's this beautiful thing of like, I didn't invent a cure for cancer. I didn't do anything special. I didn't like travel everywhere. I didn't have this grand life. I think it is in the movie. But he's like, I love somebody else with my entire heart.
Yes, it's
and like
so
that's
beautiful.
enough.
Ooh, that gave me chills.
I know, but like that, isn't that lovely?
Yeah, it's really lovely.
That he can say, okay, I love this other person with everything I had.
Yes.
And like, that's enough. I can die now. That's okay. Anyway,
That's so
what do
beautiful.
successful people know that our listeners do not?
So it's going to sound really corny, but my truth to that is that more than half, I would say like 90% of accomplishing anything is believing that you can. And they believe they can. And you don't have to agree with them. Like, for instance, I'm in the podcast space. You're in the podcast space. There are really successful podcasters, way more successful than me, whose message I don't agree with, whose ethics I don't agree with, but they are living their truth. It is true to them.
Yeah.
And that I respect. So I think you have to think about the person you want to become, because a lot of times our personal growth mirrors our professional growth. And with that, it is literally about believing that you can, like Delulu is the Salulu.
Yeah. So is it fake it till you make it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I
So
do.
I think that's going around on social media right now of like, is fake it till you make it like real? Does it actually get you to where you want to be?
So this can be controversial because not everybody believes it's, and anyone who knows me knows like I'm a pretty real person.
Yeah.
But I do believe in fake it till you make it. When I first moved from Chicago to LA, I wanted to be an entertainment reporter. I wanted to be on E, even though I thought I wanted to be Barbara Walters, but on E.
Yeah. Great.
Delulu, okay? But I would be at the end of the red carpet with the worst outlet not getting paid. And all of my peers who were at the end of the carpet with me, they were competitive with me, okay? I never saw them as my competition. I looked at the very far end of the other carpet where Juliana Rancic was standing at E! News, and I thought, that is my competition. And I acted and tried to dress as if I was already on E! News.
Yeah.
I did my research as if I was already on, like, and it's not necessary, maybe it was manifestation, I don't know, but I do think like you have to, and I didn't have any of the credentials or the experience, but I did fake it. And then eventually I made it.
Yeah.
I don't know the other way. I mean, if anybody could show me another way, I'm open.
No, I mean,
Where
I
you
think
don't
that's
have
a
to
pretty
fake
good
it.
way. Well, I don't know if it's faking it. It's more just like, okay, how did the person or the kind of person I want to be, how did they get where I'm at?
Yes.
They did XYZ thing. They showed up in XYZ way.
Yes.
Like, again, Oprah's like the pinnacle of this, but like, I look at very few people in this world are a better interviewer than Oprah.
Yeah.
And it's because like she's so present. She's so there with you. She also brings her own story in when it makes sense.
Yes.
And so it's like, okay, I'm not Oprah, right? But like to your point about like taking notes about what are they doing, you can start to emulate the kind of people you want to embody.
Absolutely.
Until you feel who is Danielle, who is Tori, because you're not going to be Oprah. You shouldn't try to be exactly like her.
Yes.
Because like that doesn't make sense.
Yes.
But I think trying to emulate the kind of people you want to be, even if it's just future you.
I totally agree. And I also think for me, it was my 20s, but for somebody else, it could be any age. It's just about entering a new era. You are, as you said, you are taking these bits and pieces and trying them on for size and determining what fits and what doesn't. And sometimes it does feel fake because you're like, oh, that's not you. Let me take that shirt off.
Right.
And you put another shirt on. And then for me, my 30s were about figuring out what shirts I wanted to keep in my closet, what I wanted to stay.
Yeah. What do you want your closet to look like?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do think my mom has this line that if you wear a mask long enough, it becomes your face. So you do have to be careful about what you're trying on and for how long.
That's really smart.
Yeah.
Masking becomes your face.
Yeah.
That's good.
You can't be faking it for too long.
Who is somebody that you've interviewed that you feel like is fully in their alignment?
That's a great question because I can pretty easily feel
when they're not.
When they're not. Like I have like an inauthenticity.
What shows you that they're not? What shows you that there are? What shows you that they're not?
A few things. It's hard with actors because they are used to performing. And so sometimes it's not about inauthenticity. It's about being able to snap them out of that mechanism.
Yeah.
But I was interviewing an actor one time and like a train went by. And so we had to stop down. And we continued with the interview. And then my producer was sitting on the side and made a move, like put their head up. And the actor in the chair said, "Oh, do we need to stop down?" I didn't see anybody move, but they were so aware and not present in the space. They were so aware of their surroundings that I was like, oh, they're not really here with me.
Well, and also if you're on a set too, I imagine you're constantly aware to a certain point of like,
yes,
what everybody wants from you.
Yeah. But in terms of inauthenticity, I think there's a fine line between sharing your story and there's moments where it's important to toot your own horn.
Yeah.
But I think when people lead with ego, it's a big red flag to me that they're not comfortable in who they are. That to me is the mask. That's like the fakeness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where they feel like they have to tap dance for you a little bit.
I've always loved interviewing the people that surprise me. Like I go in with one notion and I come out. Who
surprised you the most?
Simon Cowell. I know that's a weird answer.
We've talked about this, I think, on your first. He was like so nice and genuine, right?
What to everybody in the room.
Yeah.
He surprised me. I just interviewed Bozoma St. John.
Yeah.
And she really surprised me because the woman that I had seen in the media was such a personality. And so I didn't know who I was going to get in the interview chair.
Especially your set and like the way you approach it is like, it's beautiful, but it also weirdly is very stripped down too.
It is.
Like it feels very intimate.
It's very bare bones. There's candles. Like it's zen.
Yeah.
And she was one of my favorite interviews. Like she was so sincere and had really good information to share. Like I was like, oh, it's cool that all of like the brain met the beauty.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you? Did anyone ever surprise you?
That's a good question. Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm constantly testing my own internalized bias against women.
That's so awesome for you to admit because every woman is.
It's true. And so, I mean, I know you were whip smart, but even like you surprised me in many ways because.
Thanks, Tor.
Yeah. Well, you're very conventionally beautiful. And I am, I'm sometimes very distrustful of women who are conventionally attractive because I'm like, okay, can we have a real conversation? Like I know it's not nice, but like and again, this is not me fishing for compliments. I know I am not conventionally attractive and I've never been. And so when I grew up with girls who are not very nice. And so all the popular ones, the ones who were pretty and everything, I grew up with a pretty severe distrust of women. I had like my girlfriends, but like it was very difficult for me. And so sometimes when I'm interviewing someone, like they surprise me because I go into it with a bias. I'm like, okay, you're really pretty and maybe you're blonde and like you're thin and like you have a really hot partner. Like then when it's like a moment where I actually have a great conversation with them, I'm like, okay, great, cool. And I'm not proud of it, but that's often something that shocks me or surprises me. And again, I've worked through that over the past couple of years, but it still creeps in every now and again.
I think that makes so much sense because I don't actually think we ever really grow out of that 6-year-old or 10-year-old girl inside of us. And we all hold those biases based on our experiences. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else that this really surprised me. I just interviewed Mel Robbins. And like,
Tori.
I know. She was,
do you let them?
Always. We always let them.
You can't always let them.
Okay, but have you read it though? Because it's let them and then let me.
I know.
And everybody's leaving out the let me part. No, she just came on the show and you'd be so proud of me actually, because I was really like, she's been doing so much press for this new book. And obviously it hasn't left the like #1 Amazon bestseller since it came out. Like it's selling like crazy. And I really wanted to have a conversation with her. It has not aired. It probably will by the time this one airs. But I really wanted to have a conversation with her that was like related to that, but like that she hadn't had before. Because when you're on a press circuit and it's just like, you got your 10 talking points and it's just over and over and over again. And like, I think we had an actual really good, genuine conversation.
Wait, I'm curious if it's okay to ask, what was your angle that was different?
Well, I threw all my questions out the window.
Wow.
Because you know what? I didn't even think about this. You'd fucking love this. I hopped on.
Yeah.
And I would be lying if I said that this wasn't a really intentional choice to start this way. I knew she would really respect, and especially as someone who had done the book tour process, knew how exhausting it was. The moment she hopped in, I asked her, I go, how are you? And tell me how you really are. And she goes, oh, and she's like started crying immediately. And I was like, we don't have to do this on mic. She goes, no, we're doing this on mic. Like, let's start recording. But like, I threw all my questions out the window.
That's so cool.
I maybe looked at my paper once or twice.
I just got the chills.
Yeah. And so it's like,
that's awesome.
Okay, if we can start there, then we can have an actual conversation that is related to what she, because I want to give her time to plug, but is not the how does let them theory show up in their relationships? Like, I'm sure I asked that like once, like a version of those questions.
Yes.
But I think for the first half hour, 45 minutes, it was just her and I going back and forth.
Oh my God, I can't wait to listen to that.
Yeah. I
feel like you guys have a lot of crossover too. There's a lot of similarities. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun interview.
That's cool.
Okay.
Jada Pinkett Smith surprised me.
I forgot you interviewed her.
Yeah.
How open was she? I haven't listened to that interview.
At the beginning, not open. Like
and you got
very
her?
media trained, but 3/4 of the way in.
Atta girl.
Yeah, she was real. But speaking of bias, the reason I wanted to interview her was because I felt like women and people had made up their mind about this person that we don't actually know the story. We kind of know the story through the lens of celebrity or Will's lens. Like we don't really know.
And she has, the talk show, but it's how much is she actually revealing about her own life? Not a ton.
I know. So, yeah. But I like having to, I like when Monica Lewinsky has a new podcast called Reclamation.
Yeah.
And I love that word. It's like, I love the idea of reclamation in culture because we've treated women poorly throughout.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, have you interviewed her?
No.
She follows me. I'm trying to get her on the show. But
she's really cool.
Yeah. I don't want to dive into that, but just like the amount, again, like.
Wait, that's so interesting because I've always wondered the economic cost of what she went through. And nobody ever asks about that.
Oh, yeah.
Like, how did she support herself?
Well, she couldn't get jobs. She had to change her name on resumes and stuff. And
it's crazy.
It was bad.
Yeah.
No, but to bring it home, I do think that there's so much of what we talk about on the show of like ways that you can control what you can control.
Yeah.
And show up as your best self and go out and ask good questions and do all these things.
Yeah.
And yet we still exist in a society that will try to cut you down to size, will try to limit your opportunities.
Yes.
And so I'm not going to ask you, how do you reckon with that? Because that's like solve patriarchy for me. But like, how do you deal with that and navigate both sides of that?
I think my instinct is non-judgment. Like,
tell me more.
Like, I come into an interview knowing that I don't know anything. And so I try and give everybody a blank slate.
Even after you've done all the research and you have the paper and you have everything going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do. I didn't used to. Because I used to think, oh, let me size somebody up. What makes them tick? What are they like? And then I just was surprised so many times. And I realized that that's not even a great way to go into an interview.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think at the individual level, we talk about on the show all the time, there's only so much you can control. And so it's like, okay, well, we work to change everything else. You may as well feel some semblance of control.
Absolutely.
And like, yeah, try to show up as your best self, your most vulnerable self.
Yeah.
And like, there will be people who burn you.
Oh, yeah, of course.
There's going to be people who did not deserve that vulnerability. And like, you just learn from that experience and you keep moving.
Or you just keep being vulnerable. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, all right. I learned that they're like, the amount of times that people have been shitty to me, it's always their own shit.
Oh, always.
So it's like, okay, am I going to let them take the vulnerability away? Like, no.
Don't let them. See? you can't always let them. I'm going to write a new book.
Well, let them be shitty and then let me... Mel, I'm trying. Let them be shitty and let me decide I'm not going to date that kind of person anymore.
For the record, I think she's awesome. I just don't always believe you can let them.
No, I get it. I get it. Have you read the book? Because there are times where she talks about letting them.
No.
She talks about there are times where you decide, no, I'm actually not going to let them.
Oh, okay.
Like
I'm sure she's so
kicking
smart.
the back of my seat. You can decide to let them. And other times you're like, stop it. We're not doing this on an airplane for 6 hours.
Right. Yeah. No, the idea, tell me if the idea is like, the idea is.
You can't control other people. That's the idea.
Don't major in minor things.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Wow.
Major in major things.
Yeah.
And that's what I like
just
about
the understanding of like, okay, if you're getting frustrated and when you're in line at the grocery store.
Yeah.
Like, what is that actually doing?
Right.
Let the line be long. You can decide, hey, I'm not going to stand in this line anymore. Or I'm going to go to a different line.
Right. Or I'm going to be late.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Agreed.
Let them.
Yeah.
Danielle.
Yeah.
What's next for you? What's going on in your life?
Okay.
What?
I'm just thinking to myself, like,
what is going on?
I don't know what's going on in my life.
This is your plug. Plug away.
Okay, thanks. This is the part I'm not good at. I hate self-promotion.
Do you want me to promote for you?
No, I'll do it.
Question Everything Deck. Question Everything podcast. Genuinely, you are one of the kindest, smartest people I know. Every time I get to see you, it is a bright spot in my life.
Same. For the record.
Listen to her show. If you like this show, you will like her show.
Thank you.
Anything else I didn't get to?
Okay, I'm going to leave everybody with one question.
Ooh.
What is something that every woman should try once? What was the first thing that, because you have to give what first came to mind.
Butt stuff.
Stop! Honestly, different type of show.
I was honest to God, I don't even know why. Something subconscious just is like a ghost. Just like
Tori, I just want you to know that last time we cried over Donald Glover. This time we're having a different kind of meltdown. I love you so much.
We're going to have to include that, and I just am so sorry for everything. Oh, God. My poor Kristen, I'm so sorry.
You have everyone in the studio. I'm warm. I'm sweating.
I don't even know where it just came.
Honestly, I love your vulnerability. You really let them.
But I wish I could tell you, like, don't have personal experience.
Just let them.
Okay, but stuff apparently is my first answer. I'm a multi-millionaire podcast, New York Times bestselling author, and that's what I have to come up with. Fucking hell. I don't know, Danielle. I don't know my real
what was
answer.
the second thought?
No, honestly,
Just
my first thought was roller coasters because I'm going to Disneyland tomorrow.
That's so fun.
And I've been debating, how do we get out of butt stuff and go to here? Okay, but I've been debating, you haven't been to Disneyland. Oh my God. Okay.
I know.
The Incredicoaster, it's like the big roller coaster. I don't like big roller coasters, but I've always thought, because I've been at like Disneyland like 15 times and I fucking love it. And I'm like, do I need to just do it? So I can say I've done it. And I literally went to my Instagram stories. I went to my Instagram stories today and I asked people, I was like, make a case. Should I do it? And literally, it's just like 50-50. Half of people are like, you live once, like try it. If you hate it, you never have to do it again. And the other people are like, why waste your time doing something you know you're not going to like? And I was like, it's very true. So I don't know why roller coasters came in my bed. And then butt stuff.
Do it for the plot. I'm really curious to see if you do it or not. what you
I'm going to
choose?
make a game day decision tomorrow.
Yeah. You have to let the Instagram
Honestly,
know.
I probably won't because I just get... I know I'm not going to like... I've done
You're gonna be
coasters like
sick.
it, and I did not like it.
My answer for that question...
Everything about the roller coaster now is like, is this a metaphor for the butt stuff? I've done it before. I know I'm not going to like it. I don't know. It's too rocky.
Let them as a metaphor for it.
Too up and down.
God.
What was your answer? Please redeem me. Oh, God, I'm
breathe.
so sorry, Kristen. I'm so sorry.
So good.
Okay. What was your answer?
Mine was...
It's going to be something
my first...
So Buddhist and Zen and beautiful.
No. My first was skinny dipping, not so Buddhist and Zen.
Okay,
but like in the ocean, like even by yourself. Not at night because it's not safe.
Oh, K-spa. That's my real answer. Go to a Korean spa where you're fully naked.
Oh.
Have you been?
Yes.
In LA? Because I've done them in LA and I've done them in
too.
Seattle. I cannot recommend it enough. Because there's so many women who are like, oh, it's going to be so uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's a good point.
The first 20 minutes is terrifying.
Yeah.
And then you see every body type under the sun. You see women with tons of body hair, with no body hair, with a mastectomy. Right. Like, it's incredible.
That's kind of cool. I took like a female biology class in college, and the professor showed like all the different types of vulvas on screen.
Yes.
And it was like, whoa. And that's kind of
Saggy
what a K-spa is.
One boob that's bigger than the other. Like, it's so life affirming.
That's so great. I love that.
And it's also like, where else, unfortunately, are women allowed to be naked and you're not sexualized?
Great point. My second thought was have like a big, deep, overwhelming love affair, even if it's like inappropriate, not meant to be, like not your person, just like go all in.
It devastated me, but I do highly recommend.
The highs are high and the lows are low.
The lows were very low. No, but that's a great one. I love that one.
It's fun.
Well, I think also traveling by yourself or doing things alone.
That's a good one.
Like, again, I'm going to Disneyland by myself for the 3rd time in 3 years because I fucking love it.
I'm actually
And I did invite Danielle, and I'll say this on mic, and she couldn't go.
I know. Well, I've never been to Disneyland, so I was really upset. And also, you gave me such a beautiful invitation. I was like, I always joke that I'd like to marry Tori.
I'd like to marry Danielle.
Because honestly, no man has ever treated me as well as Tori. Can I read the text message?
Yeah, that's fine.
It's so hot.
Also, I think we might be at time. Hold on. How are we doing time-wise?
I think you have 2 hours.
Oh, great. Danielle, you want to yap some more?
Yeah.
How do we come back from butt stuff, though, truly? Lordy, how do I title this episode?
Okay. So Tori invites me to Disneyland in a voice note, and I'm like, oh my God, I've never been. I'm so excited, but I don't know if I can yet. I have to figure out some of my schedule stuff.
Are you playing the voice note?
No. And then Tori goes, also, if you end up being free on that Tuesday or the weekend, I'll handle all the planning. I'll even bring a Disney shirt. You can just show up in good shoes and we'll have a great time. Ticket on me, red heart. I said, please, let's get married.
Danielle, I packed 2 shirts. Just in case you changed your mind.
Who are you going with?
No one. Just in case you changed your mind. Or you could go. Don't feel bad. It's not meant to feel bad. No, I packed 2 shirts.
That is so nice.
It was also in case I don't know, want to change my clothes halfway through the day, or I don't know. Didn't like the one shirt I brought, but I brought 2 shirts.
That's so thoughtful.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could have been at Disney together.
We could have. It's all right. Next time.
Yeah. I'm actually really curious what your audience, like what everybody listening would say to what every woman should try
one time. No, we'll do it. If you're on Spotify, comment down below. But yeah, we'll do it when the episode comes out. I think that'd be really interesting.
Because you have such an active audience.
It could also be, that's your new deck.
Yes.
What's everything that women should try?
That's in there. Great. For girls' night. The girls' night in is going to be really fun.
Butt stuff. You heard it here first. God damn it.
I don't know which camera's mine, but oh my God.
Danielle, thank you.
I love you so much.
I love you.